dancing on the moon. Feel like Jack Kerouac on a new highway. Feel like Dylan with a new set of strings. Hey, life is what you make it. Today I feel like I could do anything. Hey, if you get a chance, you better take it. It's time to wake up and start living a dream.
But I was trying to catch Jason up where we were at about, your experience in becoming, an artist, a musician out on the road.
Yeah.
Talking about living in the houses and your methadone guitar player flooding
Did he skip straight to methadone, or was there heroin first?
flooding
I'm
at
not
the
sure.
top floor of the hotel you guys are staying in. Anyway, go ahead from there.
Yeah. So just tons of these types of stories. Just crazy stuff always happening, right? Because you got to think about it. You're playing the bar. That's a lot of people that go to the bar.
It's an aggressive crowd.
Yeah. I'm not saying,
Well, you weren't playing classical or any swing music. I mean, I know a little bit about you, but as far as like the type of music that you play, and maybe some, I don't know if you guys talk about the simple stuff, like how long you've been
we've
playing
kind of
music and covered all that. All right, we're not going to do it twice.
Yeah, we've done that. So
yeah.
But,
So at this point, I'm playing hardcore.
I'm
playing outlaw country at this point, and
Ooh, outlaw country.
yeah, like and a lot, like 5 hours, 6 nights a week in these clubs, right? And this goes for years. So just paying my dues, learning things like that. So I'll get to this point, get hurt, get the hernia. All of a sudden, my dad comes to me. I believe it was after 9/11. So I think it was the November of 2001. He's like, "Do you want to go to Nashville?" And it was like, "Are you serious?" And I still had a visa at that time that had like a year left on it, so I could bring everything in my truck and just go there and live. So I had an aunt that lived like an hour, maybe 2 hours outside of Nashville, and I think the town, I forget the name of the town, but it's a little tiny.
There's a few of those,
a few of those.
Little tiny town off the beaten path.
Once you get out there, you're like, "What town are you in?" I'm like, "I'm in this direction."
Yeah, so we took the plunge. We packed up the truck, boom, headed down there, and we get to town on like Thanksgiving weekend, and I just can't believe how dead the town is and small Nashville is. So I'm thinking, man, if it's like this all the time, it's going to be amazing, because I'm so used to, small town living
in Canada.
Less like a city and more like a big town.
Yeah. So unfortunately, though, that everybody came crashing back through.
Oh, that changed. Yeah, I think when I first moved down here, that was at the tail end of that, and I thought, as what you said, I thought the same thing. I was like, "Oh, it's cool." It's like I thought it was going to be like a big city,
but it's more.
But it's
a big town.
And within the next 5 years, I'm like, it's completely different. I'm not saying that shit anymore.
Yeah. So we get to town, and I think we drove up by Johnny Cash's house the first day, and out came Marty Stewart, and I was always a fan of Marty Stewart growing up as a kid. And he comes out, he looked like he was half in the bag, right? And he
Fair
was
enough.
Like turkey in his hand. Awesome. So start searching the local paper, find this place about 2 minutes from Trinity Lane.
Okay. That's a up and coming area.
Yeah, really rough part. So move in with like
pretty cheap down there.
Yeah, I imagine costs are low.
Yeah, so I moved in this house with 3 other guys, and so everybody's just kind of like in, it's Nashville, so everybody's comes there pretty much broke. And
party
you're like,
house, yeah.
Yeah, so it's $80 a week to stay in this house, and there's a recording studio in the back. Like when you read the ad, it was really impressive, but when you got there,
it wasn't so impressive.
Somebody's good at marketing.
Yeah, it was just
Come
It
live
was
your
terrible.
Nashville dream in the spacious 4-bedroom Victorian
Yeah,
house where you'll be able to record your music and
Isn't it
do what
funny
you
that those
like.
things aren't limited to studios in like LA and New York City? You can
Yeah.
come to Nashville, it's like, check out this great place and make it big. You get a Murphy bed that you pull out of the wall.
No, I brought this day bed that I'd had from Canada, and I traveled
Sleeping on a
down there.
day bed.
Well, this is how bad
Night bed.
this is how bad it was down there. It was like these huge spiders in
Oh,
the
Yeah,
house.
the spiders, the wolf spiders.
Yeah, that's something from moving from the Northeast U.S. like down here. The spiders, the whole thing is like spooky Halloween town. It's fucking the size of
Oh my
spiders
gosh.
that you.
And they just the cobwebs.
Yeah.
So there was times, honestly, where I was getting bit. I would go to bed with bug spray on, because I didn't want to get bit anymore. Right? It was
Yeah,
crazy.
Look at
It
that.
sounds more like bed bugs than spiders.
No, I don't. No, yeah, no, right?
So itchy. all the
It
time.
could have
Yeah.
been. It could have
These
been.
flannel sheets are itchy.
Yeah, it could have been. But so hung out at that house for like, I don't know, probably a good year or I don't know, 8 months, and but played every single like writer's place I could find that night. So I played the Bluebird Cafe a lot. I played just
That's cool.
well, it was okay, but I hated playing there because it was like they would shush you if you were even talked, right? And that's just not
Oh
my,
yeah, I didn't think about the crowd.
not my
yeah.
vibe at all.
Shushed. You get shushed. Shushed.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
what,
Can't be like, dude, man, play that rock and roll
are you
music.
playing for a bunch of librarians? What do you- yeah.
yeah, it was weird. But when I did it, it was like open mic night. So I don't know. You got to remember, this is like,
Isn't it every night open mic night?
yeah, but this was like,
They feel like
this is
a live NPR.
this is
where they
live
talk
at the
softly into the microphone.
this is live at the Bluebird Cafe. So.
Live at the Bluebird Cafe today.
We have some
Chade,
smooth jazz. coming up.
Chade Pink's coming up next.
No, it
He's
wasn't.
playing some of his favorite music.
Yeah. So, yeah. It was crazy when I first got to there, and then I started washing dishes at the Star Cafe in Whites Creek,
White's Creek.
Okay, yeah.
White's Creek. Word.
and that's kind of where everything kind of just the lid came off, and it was like just crazy times ahead, crazy in the best way.
Crazy in the best way.
Yeah.
So at this point, like, how often are you playing? Like, how many sets or shows or whatever that you think you would do in a week?
We play five nights a week. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Every single night, there'd be a writer's round somewhere, and sometimes you'd play 3 or 4. Right, you would jump on, and and then you would network. So like, I probably had like 6 packs of groups of people throughout the time of being there.
Yeah.
And then it's like
Different
life.
social circles. Yeah.
Yeah. So they come and go. People come and go.
So in White's Creek, me and you, we have kind of a kindred spirits for White's Creek, because I know the story that you're getting ready to tell us about, later on in life, we kind of had like a weird kind of parallel where we kind of worked at the same house.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell them what house we worked at?
Well, when I was there, it was called the Plowboy Mansion.
My God.
Plowboy Mansion. It was the Fontenelle. It was Barbara Mandrell's old log house mansion.
Yeah.
So just Google that and you'll see pictures of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm
It's a giant log cabin.
yeah. So
both of you worked there at the same time.
No. He spent some time there, and then after they decided that them partying up there and kind of they decided that they were going to turn it into like a thing for Barbara Mandrell, and you could tour her house. Well, it only took about a year and a half for all the Barbara Mandrell fans to go through. So then that ended. But they did build a really cool amphitheater there.
That's cool.
And I still love it. I saw the opening set there, and if there's one thing for Mark Oswald you can say is that he really built a nice amphitheater, and it's perfect inside of that in the woods.
Yeah.
Chade, was that there when you played there? That amphitheater?
No,
No,
it wasn't.
this was-
No.
No, it was the Plowboy then.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you. I see the
Yeah.
time parallel now.
Yeah.
All right.
But tell them who the Plowboys were.
Too many to name. Too many to name.
Too
But-
many to name.
So,
I know.
I'm
I know
meeting,
who was there. I know who was there.
meeting all these people. They're having like open mic at the Star Cafe. So I start playing there, and then all of a sudden I meet just all these other people coming in from the Fontanelle. Like, but I've never even heard of the Fontanelle. Like, you drive by it, but you have to. It's a big gate, right? So you have to have a code to get in. You just
Right.
and you can't see it from the road. It's way tucked up in the hills, right? And that little farmhouse there, that was where Big Kenny
Right, the
from Big
milk
and Rich lives.
The milk farm.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Big Kenny's house. So this all ties into down. I don't want to get too ahead. I want to kind of keep it on track. But
Right.
so I was also working at the Douglas Corner Cafe and the Star Cafe. So I was cleaning the Douglas Corner Cafe, and then I'd be washing dishes and serving at the Star Cafe. And then so playing open jams, and all of a sudden, you'd see Gretchen Wilson come in and order food, and you would see like sometimes Kid Rock would come in or whatever. Like it would be like it was like nothing, right? People just came there all the time because it was a hot place to go. It was really good food.
Oh yeah.
And so you could see anybody. I mean, and you could see like a number one songwriter would just be in there chilling. So, I met some
I'm out there in Watts Creek.
yeah, right there. It was incredible. And so then I met a guy named Jackie Elkins, and Jackie was doing landscaping, and so he hired me on, and we would work like, oh man, we were cutting like all the stars' grasses and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. And then
They got a
Jackie,
lot of lawn, yeah.
well, Jackie was the caretaker of the Fontanelle. So
I remember
then
Jackie.
I'm
Jackie was still there when I got there.
was he? Yeah. So I had many amazing times with Jackie. I love him to death. He's awesome. I still got the stick that he made me. Do you ever see the sticks he made? The Music Mafia
No,
sticks?
I don't think so. I mean, I didn't really get that close with him.
Yeah. So anyway, but so now I'm like at all these parties up there with Jax, right? Because like part of the crew, whatever. But then you start playing, and like there's there's like so many famous people up there at any time. So you're just playing after parties and stuff like that. But then I met then it became like the Music Mafia crowd, right? So that whole thing started to happen. And I was dating a girl at the time that was really involved with the Music Mafia. So I always kind of felt like an outsider. I didn't really feel like I fit in there. I was just kind of there, right?
Tough to fit in on that crowd.
Dude, and they were tough, man. Holy. Yeah, they were tough. And they were like, that was some of the best talent you would ever see.
You can look up who's in the Music Mafia.
Yeah.
Jade doesn't want to say their names.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid.
Oh no, they're John Nicholson was amazing. He was one of they were great people, no doubt. I just felt like maybe I was intruding a bit, right?
Yeah.
Because those guys had earned that spot.
You felt like you were just kind of stepping in with them, like, "Hey, I know you got this thing going on, but I'm here now too." So it's like,
Yeah, no, like I never felt like that with like if I ever got to be on the stage, I was very humbled and like I didn't try the alpha stuff around any of those, right? Like
you didn't try to grandstand.
no, not at all. I was there to learn.
Like step aside, motherfucker.
I was learning.
for,
Man, like you should hear the heart, like
my killer lead.
their harmony with a lot of those guys were amazing, and it was like just the craft was like the artists that were coming out of the woodwork was incredible. So, but there was a younger crew that was coming out called the Music Mafia Misfits, and it was just a bunch of people that were kind of like tagging along, right?
Right.
And so I was and it all started at the Star Cafe. And I believe there's somebody wrote about it in a book as well. You could probably Google it and find it. But
check that out.
So that's kind of how I
fell
fell
in.
in.
Fact checked.
Yeah. Yeah. There's gonna be lots of that. So that's kind of how I fell in. So I was just at party after party, and like I said, then I started playing after parties, and then you get to know people, and then and then they started to know you, right? And then you were just always there, and then it was like boom, this guy can play at the drop of a dime if there's an after party. And there was always a party, right?
Yeah.
There's always a party, always. And I'm not talking house parties. I'm talking like these were mansion parties, man, like that.
Right.
Were like
There's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people.
yeah, and they're after shows, so everybody's hopped up, right?
Everybody's already half fucking
Everybody's already
trashed, so yeah.
Feeling pretty good about.
That's
Yeah.
when you really
But-
crank it up. Yeah.
Yeah, so and started hanging around this guy, and his name was Alaska Dan at the time. That's what we called him.
Good damn.
Classy.
Yeah, he was the life of the
Are there
party.
a lot of
That's-
bear fur?
sounds-
Why'd they call him Alaska?
Sounds
Dan?
like a good name for a whiskey.
Yeah.
Well, he was
Alaska Dan.
he was the life of the party, man, and he was responsible for
How
a
can you
lot of
not be?
yeah, exactly. He was responsible. I remember one time he texted me, and this is flip phones, right? He texted me.
Yes.
He goes, "Hey, what are you doing? You want to go on a road tour? We're taking Gretchen Wilson's bus down to North Carolina. Come on, get in."
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
have a
jump
lot
on
going
this
on,
bus.
right?
I jump on this bus, and I think we drank whiskey for like 3 days straight. I don't even remember. I don't remember the trip.
Some Alaskan Dan.
Yeah, it was great. And
Well, it sounds like at this point, like you just said, you felt like a bit of an outsider. It sounds like this
Sounds
is a
like you're starting to fit in.
a little bit more now.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
No.
you
I
kinda
just
reached
meant there was a core of the music mafia, and they were like getting record deals, and they were breaking out. And
Okay.
Okay.
I was in the incubator. I was still paying my dues, right? And so
Okay, so you didn't feel like because I know like in any profession really when you meet people who are like heavily talented, that are kind of making a name for themselves, it can be a little bit intimidating and stuff like that. And you're like, man, I don't know if I should be here. Like,
Yeah.
like all that
These
stuff.
people are really good,
I
and
know,
I'm just
but,
okay.
no, because I never came across as arrogant. And I'll tell you what, if you were arrogant in that crew, you'd be kicked out fast.
Yeah, now
So-
that's another part of people who are heavily
Yeah.
talented and stuff like that. Is that whether it doesn't matter which profession it is, those people always tend to have a whole lot of like humility. They're not the ones that are kind of all about themselves are the ones that are like they're good but they're mediocre, and you can tell they're trying to stretch that out for as long as possible. But the ones who just like have it, they're like, yeah, this is what I love to do. I'm just gonna do this every day till I die.
Yeah, totally. And so it was great because I was getting to watch real life, watching people get record deals and their life changing, and then watching them get dropped very fast.
Oh well, so you get to see that whole narrative play out.
Totally. And I got to watch it a lot and see it a lot. And it was like, wow, oh my gosh, like you're there all that time and that, effort that it gets put in. You got to remember that most of these people that go to Nashville have been the serious ones, have been working their craft years before they get there, right?
Yeah, they don't go there and then decide that, okay,
Yeah.
now I'm going to start pursuing a music career. That's usually at the point where you're like, okay, where I'm living now isn't offering enough. And I think, my time would be better spent in an area where there is a lot more going on. And that's kind of what attracts people to these larger areas. So that, you get thrown in with a mix of a bunch of different people. But that's kind of, if you got something going for you, that's like your big chance to make something of it.
Yeah, and the talent in that whole pool was just so diverse. So it was just everything. So it
Oh,
was
I
definitely
imagine.
a fly on the wall. And between that and the Douglas Corner, because the Douglas Corner was like world-class songwriters, right? That's where they would go.
Okay.
So I had access to be there. Like I never had to pay for a show. I could just hang out if I wanted. And that was kind of the perk of working there. And so those days and that whole thing, I was really just on sponge mode, right? Just absorbing everything
Taking
I possibly could.
Yeah.
Yeah. And eventually that, and like we would spend so much time at that little farmhouse, which was Big Kenny's house at the time. And we would be writing songs and we'd be smoking his weed and drinking his whiskey. And,
I remember I did when I was at the Fontenelle, I did a gig up there, and Mark and some other people were trying to get some investors to like get involved in a casino deal, like in Wisconsin or Minnesota. I don't remember which.
Oh, jeez.
So I had to go up there and cook in that kitchen for these guys for probably about like 15 people. And I remember Big Kenny coming in. He's like got like a magnum of champagne. He's like, let's get ripped. I was like, I like this guy because he's like the opposite. I mean, like between John Rich and Big Kenny, they're like opposite sides of the coins. You know, John's just got this, very large ego that, has served him well.
Mhm.
And then you have Big Kenny, who's just like, yeah, I'm just kind of like the guy.
Yeah.
Did you kind of get that kind of feeling too?
John was definitely in the driver's seat.
Yeah. It's obvious.
John is very determined, and I love that about John. Like, so
Yeah.
people.
He's been given shit a lot because he can shoot his mouth off and get himself in trouble.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Listen, I've seen that guy at his worst, really, like just obliviate it. But
Yeah.
whatever, he is so talented, and he's true country man. He can sing you.
I mean,
a
he
country
wears
song.
the nudie suit still.
Man, he can sing you a
Still wears
country
the
song.
nudie suits.
Yeah, and he can do more than just that. Like he's
very talented, but
Yeah.
just his ego will fucking just make him look like a dickhead.
Yeah.
Even though I did win Celebrity Apprentice, I did that gig when he actually like opened that up.
Oh yeah,
the opening. I did that gig
Hell yeah.
at his house at Mount Richmore, actually up on Love Circle.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
But one thing
that
I'll
was
say,
exciting.
like, he always wanted to. He would always let you play on stage. Like he'd always encourage you to play.
I'm
Like,
sure.
so
I mean, I can see that in him.
Yeah, he was super cool. Never ever had a problem with anybody. Like I said, I was just humbled to be there, grateful.
I mean, I met him off on the side too, like at the Fontanelle a few times when him and Mark and Dale would be in the farmhouse chit chatting. And, they're like, "Oh, come on out here." Mark, Mark always liked to parade people around in front of people.
Yeah, yeah. I was mostly over at Greg's house,
Right.
and I'd play a lot of the parties over there on the lake house
Right.
and stuff like that. And
Nice.
yeah, man, it was just cool. I mean, you were playing and
So you're at the Fontanelle.
yeah,
You're at the Plowboy. You're at the Plowboy getting
Yep.
plowed,
getting plowed, living it up,
making friends.
staying in that master bedroom with the mirrors on top of the,
Yeah, looking at yourself.
of the bed. Look at myself. Yeah. No. So. Yeah. I mean.
Barbara Mandrell. Everybody I saw like see the tours, and people who would walk in and look at that room, and they would look up, and there was mirrors on the ceiling. They would just go,
Yeah. What do you think that's for?
For.
That's What do you
narcissism.
What do you gotta lay in bed and comb your hair? You're like, trim your eyebrows.
So was it her or was it him or was it both of them?
I imagine as it goes with a lot of rock stars and everything, that is anything goes.
Some narcissism in there.
Yeah.
Did you-
just sprinkled on top?
Did you enjoy looking at yourself while you slept in that bedroom?
It's weird.
I know.
It'd be weird if you're on like shrooms or acid and you look and you see the mirror and you think you're floating up from your own body. You're like, oh, I died.
Oh my God, it's over.
Yeah, that would be horrifying.
Yeah. Be the last time I don't ever
But
want
there
to
is a huge jacuzzi and fire pit in there, and
That sounds
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. That house was actually pretty amazing. There was an indoor swimming pool, and
Damn.
yeah, that was pretty amazing. It was a log cabin. Like the guy who built it,
Like a
designed
log
it
home
was
style.
like if the Country Music Hall of Fame. He designed that.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I like log homes.
The Southern he designed. Several other
Okay.
things. Steve Tuck, a huge architect in this town who's developed many. The Music City Center is him too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I remember like they would pay us like they'd pay us money to take people out and show them a good time from the Fontanelle,
Oh,
right?
yeah?
Because they'd be having people
Show
come
them a
in.
good time, huh?
Yeah, so we'd
All right.
take
What
like
did that entail?
oh well, you would take like
You have to wear a thong.
you would take like supermodels out and like it was
Oh.
crazy. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
They
awesome.
wore the thongs.
They wear the thong.
Yeah. No, I mean, believe me, it was
Did you take care of them? Good.
it was just simply business, right? Like, so you would
Business.
go out,
Yeah.
take them to the hot spots in Nashville, and then you would like get them
Yeah.
drinks and all that. It was cool.
So
It
you
was
try
awesome.
to get them drunk and keep your fingers crossed.
No, so
And then get to steer them away from other people.
Like,
Like,
oh,
all right, let's not hang out over here. Let's
yeah,
get away
so
from
these
there was
idiots.
there was one story where I was at this table and Nikki Taylor, does that ring a bell? She was
that name sounds
Yeah.
familiar.
Yeah, that
So-
sounds very
Why does it
familiar.
sound familiar?
so
Yeah.
it's her
She's a
and like
supermodel. Nikki Taylor,
Yeah.
supermodel.
yeah, it's her and
Not
there's
much.
some
Jade hanging out with the supermodels and not
Yeah.
even getting lucky.
Yeah. so it's her and like some of these other amateur supermodels, I guess. And so we're at this table and I'm getting buzzed up and I'm like, starting to get flirty. And I'm telling her
Yeah, what are you supposed to do? Sit there with a straight face all night?
Yeah, no. At this point, I'm telling her why it'd be great if I could take her on a date. And then she breaks the news to me that her boyfriend's Keith Urban. And
And then you start running through the Rolodex in your head. It was like, can I compete with Keith Urban right now? Let me see. How
He's
can
like-
I spin this?
he's the hottest. He's the hottest act.
Toyota.
Yeah, exactly. He's the hottest act in Nashville, right at this point. And yeah,
Works
but-
if you work it.
yeah. So
But
There
hey,
just-
maybe you should try it out again. Keith Urban ended up marrying, what's her name?
Oh, yeah, those relationships never last long.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman. They two Aussies got hooked up in America.
yeah,
Good job.
It's all short-term stuff, baby. I'm about the
So
long
maybe
term.
you should call Nikki Taylor and say, hey, remember that time in Nashville when you were dating Keith Urban and I was trying to hit on you? You interested?
Well, maybe don't say that, but yeah.
I don't know.
no, I've
I might as
moved
well put
on.
the cards on the table.
I've moved
Yeah.
on, Chris. I've moved
Oh,
on.
good. So,
I've moved on.
what have you moved on to? Canadian lady
Well, I'm here, so
wearing a lot of clothes.
that would make sense. Like to love here. I'm not into online dating, so I'm not
Oh.
gonna meet someone in Russia.
I mean,
The
after a while,
dating app.
I'm pretty sure in the
It's all
town.
online now.
I'm
Chris.
pretty sure, like in the town you live in, that once you get on Tinder, everybody, all five of you guys know each other. And you're like, get out of here.
Never done that stuff. Never done it.
Nah.
They're like, you're sick.
I don't even know how it works. I just know
Yeah,
it's
Tinder,
pretty
like,
degrading,
like
isn't it? Isn't it pretty degrading? It's like
Imagine
like-
in Canada, they just have like Tinder for lumberjacks. I think it's just called Timber. And they just.
wow. So I guess at this point, I'm playing. Do you remember the Bluesboro?
The
Remember that
Bluesboro now.
Yeah, they had one in Murfreesboro and one downtown the Bluesboro. Yeah.
Murfreesboro.
No, it was
Yeah,
called the
it
Bluesboro.
throws people off.
Murfreesboro.
Yeah,
Nobody knows what it is.
yeah.
You
And
just-
we would take party buses up there and and play, and then it was just off the chart. And this it would be packed on like a Wednesday night. This is in the Music Mafia days. The Music Mafia would run a
Right.
show. It'd be like that day they decided to have a show and it would sell out.
Well, let me
Wow.
ask you
Yeah.
this: when I first got into town, maybe I was here for about 6 or 7 months, or maybe 8 months. Do you remember like a reality show that they had started called Nashville? But it wasn't not the crappy soap opera TV show they made later. But there was a reality
yeah.
TV show that got played in the summertime, where they had this guy who looked like maybe he ate Kid Rock.
Like you put on Kid Rock's skin
Skin
suit,
suit,
like
yeah.
Men in
But he
Black.
was really fat. And that was all kind of the Music Mafia. I think they were involved in it somehow or another. But it only lasted one season, then it went away, and it was probably one of the worst shows I've ever seen. As far as reality TV just kind of pisses me off anyway.
Right.
But I'm just sitting there, I'm watching, I'm like, this is
But
terrible
even
TV.
for the
Like
standards
they
of
shoved
reality
this.
TV.
I remember they take this girl who I don't know, she was from Idaho or some shit, and she's coming to be a singer,
As
and
you
then
do,
and they're gonna put her as a bartender in Tootsie's,
she'll make more money.
so she could have a job while she's working on her career. And
I don't
she
remember
never
it.
been a bartender in her life.
Oh. Wow. So no past experience.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
I don't know. It was like 2005, 2006, but then I think it only was like the summer Phil shit, and they're like, "Yep, nobody likes this show."
There was so many of those
You
shows
know,
going on at that time, right? And if they
Right.
flopped, who cares? It was on to the
Yeah.
next because it
But
was.
I remember it. I'm like, this is. I was like, I haven't even lived here this long, and I would be offended by this show.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. So, So yeah, the Fontanelle days, they kind of come to an end, right? Everything good thing
Right.
comes to an end, and I
Right.
think at this point the music mafia was kind of going into turmoil. People were
Right.
leaving, breaking up. There was drama everywhere, right? People were
They
losing
said they got
deals.
dropped, kind of like the stuff didn't kind of pan out the way they thought it would in the long term, right?
Yeah, I guess that's what happened. Yeah, but I mean, to get
They
even
still like to call themselves the music mafia, though.
Well, fair enough.
yeah, to get a break in that town and to do what they did, that's really unheard of. He just everything they did,
still notable. Yeah.
yeah. So I started. I think I played one last show, kind of with them or something, and or was there at the show and got up and played. And then there was a guy in the audience. His name was Brian Davis, and he was a writer at BMG at the time. And I met him and his brother, and he was looking for a guitar player, and
Cool.
and he was like, this guy had just an incredible work ethic, and he was playing like every night, and he was ready to party every night. And he loved to drink, like he loved to drink. So we always have to rehearse and drink, because if you're gonna play or if you're gonna rehearse,
you need to play in the same state you're gonna be in.
If you're gonna play drunk, you better rehearse drunk. That's what they say. So
I think that's just an excuse to drink more, to be honest. It
man.
might be a thing, but at the same time, you could just be like, you know what? I know we got to practice, but I want to get drunk. I'm like, okay, we can just do both.
And like growing up, like there was no such thing as like, we're going to go for a beer. Like I never had that growing up. It was like, let's go get shit faced.
Yeah.
Like, there was no such thing as having a beer, right? And so growing up like that in Canada, when I got to Nashville, holy fuck, man, they drink a lot. Right? Like they're drinking.
Yeah.
They're drinking, like they're having beers at like 12 noon at certain bars. Like you go in and like, it's a different world down there, right?
Hell yeah. Yeah. Moving from, I'd bounced around the United States a decent bit. I moved to Nashville from Vermont, and the Northeast likes their alcohol a lot. And then I came down here, and it just made it worse. So.
That's for sure. You gotta love some drinking. I was in the army.
I do.
We were both in the army. That turns you into
a
professional drinker.
Yeah, that's probably what.
You guys were together?
Yeah, you gotta.
No, he was. He went in way before I did. I joined in 2005. So by then, Chris was already out.
I was already out. I was here in Nashville, actually.
Yeah.
That's when I got to Nashville in 2005.
Yep. So start playing with Brian, and Brian's like, this guy, like I said, he's pipelined in. He's writing every day. So
talking about Brian.
Brian Davis at this
Brian
time.
Davis, okay.
He's playing. So I end up breaking up with this girl and then moving in with his brother. And so we ended up moving in this townhouse that was
weird.
Well,
yeah,
the house
I feel like you just glossed over that really quick.
What's that?
You said I broke up with this girl, then moved in with her brother.
Like it's just something like, yeah, I walked down and got the mail, and it's just junk. And
No,
like,
I broke up with a girl and moved in with his brother, Ron.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Oh,
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Not the
Sorry,
girlfriend's
not the
brother.
girlfriend's brother.
No.
That
Yeah.
was sounding kind of odd.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I feel like you just kind of glossed over that.
No.
I was still trying to process.
All these shows and network, and anyway, so I end up writing 2 songs with a guy named Arliss Albritton. He was writing for EMI at the time, and so we wrote these songs, and then we demoed them. He got me an interview with an A&R rep at EMI, and it was crazy because kind of like probably 4 months before all this, before the songs were written, I'd seen this magazine, and I'd seen a picture of a guy named Ben Vaughn, who was the main A&R guy at EMI, and I was like, that's the company, and that's the guy I want to get signed by, and that's the company I want to work with.
So you actually ran into the company that you wanted to work for.
Yeah, just all
through.
Crazy thing. So I find myself in this meeting then, so with Stacy Wilbur, and so I was really, really nervous on the first meeting, because it's rare to be getting an interview, right, with one of the biggest publishers.
No, you don't usually start with the ideal place you want to work. You usually got to work up to that. I started this place like, all right, it's not what I wanted, but it's where it's a good start.
Going on. We're an up-and-coming company.
But yeah, to just jump in like, all right, this is where
songs.
you want to be, so let's do an interview. And you're like, fuck, okay.
Yeah. So I was just like very grateful for to Arliss for taking that. Just I didn't have money to demo, so it was on his tab, right? So it was kind of like he was taking that risk. So we did that, and so I started a relationship there with like Stacy, and we keep in contact. And then I was demoing more, and then we were kind of all in this little crew. And then there was a guy named Craig Boyd, and he was playing as well, going for a deal. So we were all friends, and we were all supporting each other, but we were all going for the same title.
Well,
there's one
that's
prize.
Kind of lucky to find that group where you can all have a common goal. And sort of work together towards it and have it sounds like a tight-knit group.
It was for a while, right? But then eventually the big bad egos get involved, and then it splits. But for that time,
somebody's going to win and somebody's not going to win.
But for that time of collaboration and helping, it was awesome, and there was some real great friendships.
I'm sure, yeah.
And even today, like you reach out, everybody's pretty cool, right? Like it's like you can look back and kind of laugh because people that grew up in the 80s in the hair bands we're comparing the drama of that era to what I was going through in this scene. So there was so much drama every single day. Like it was just like he said, she said, this and this, and then you got to play, and then there's women involved, and then you're in that drama. And there's women every night. There's so many women at shows because you're playing, and it's like when you're on stage and you're there, and a lot of, I don't know, I guess there's like girls that go there just to be with a guy that's gonna have maybe a
groupie. They want to be part of the band.
So there's a lot of that. Like you see that on the road, right? You see that in the towns, but there's a lot of that in Nashville, I guess, too. I guess.
You were saying this group that kind of it was a tight knit group, and then kind of fell apart when the egos started to play. A lot of drama every night, and it was it all just relationship, ego drama, stuff like you would think, like if they made a TV show out of it, how they try to play up all the dramatic parts. Is it actually played up, or would you see something like that and be like, no, that's pretty real?
No, that's pretty accurate.
No, it's pretty right on.
Yeah,
it's pretty right on. Like you don't have to.
You
got to think about this for a second. What is missing in a person that has to have that void filled to be famous? What's missing in that person?
Self-love,
right? So maybe a little too much self-love, but
there's always, when we all know that inside, most artists there is turmoil, and and some of the best ones have the worst. And I mean, I recently, like started listening to a lot of Amy Winehouse, and I look at her and I'm just like, man, what a tragedy,
Yeah, well, a lot of people
amazing singer,
getting famous and getting all the income and all the stuff that you want doesn't fix who you are as a person. So there are things you aren't dealing with, then it doesn't matter. It's still going to catch up with you.
Even to the point where she was even like, I don't even want to be this artist. She'd have to get drunk to get up to go on stage.
Yeah.
It's like it's like a terrible. Like she didn't want to do it no more. She just. But it's just an amazing singer and a tormented artist, and you see that a lot. And some of the best are, that way.
Well, a lot of it comes.
But then there's a lot of great people out there who do it for real and who are not fucked up.
Totally right. So it's a fine line. It's balance, and it's hard, especially.
Yeah, it's hard to maintain that balance. I imagine, like if a lot of stuff is going on with your career, you don't really have time to, work through anything as on your own.
I never, out of all the times I was offered blow, I never touched it. Like,
good for you.
I just saw too many incidents. There, I remember we played this gig in Alabama, and somebody put a snake around my neck on stage, and it's horrifying. And I muscled through it.
Out there like Ozzy, like
boy, this spoke your head off.
So we played this bar in Alabama, and it was so hot, and there was fights breaking out everywhere. It reminded me of Canada, and
it's just like a really, really hot and humid Canada.
So we get back to the band house, and I go into the bedroom I'm staying, and there's like 5 people in there, and there's this big mound of cocaine, and this guy takes this big sniff, and his nose explodes and blood just goes everywhere.
Oh my god!
I'm just like, this is like 3
That's
in the
gross.
morning, right? I just want to go to bed, right? So I just seen so many stories, and I just didn't like the crowd. The crowd was too obnoxious for me.
Well, yeah, because they're all on cocaine.
Yeah, people get obnoxious when they do too much cocaine.
Yeah, just a bit, right? Then add some
What do you
alcohol
mean?
on that.
Fuck you, man. Fuck you, bro.
There's a lot of hypertension floating around that crowd.
Yeah,
Need to
and
chill the fuck out.
I'm just a stoner, so
Fair enough.
And I'll tell you my joke. You know what the problem with cocaine is?
You just want more cocaine.
Well, it shows up late and there's never enough.
Yeah.
yeah.
I've never met somebody who's like, they go to offer him a line, they go, "Oh no, I'm good. I've had enough tonight."
Yeah, I'm fine. This sounds great. No, at 3 in the morning, like, can you call that guy again? Call that guy again. Well, he might be asleep. I don't know, man. I'm just saying, maybe you should give him a shot. Maybe he's awake.
Dude, you're already down $300. Let it go.
Yep. So
Chip in, man. Chip in.
So get going, get signed with EMI. It's a dream come true. Boom. I play this gig at the Sutler. Remember the old Sutler?
Little Sutler.
Okay.
My parents come down. I play a showcase. It's a 3-piece band. Boom. The next day they want to sign me. It's a dream come true. I'm working, get signed by Ben and Stacy.
The playing with them was just like, you jump in like any other, like you're probably so used to playing with all different types of places and different people that the interview, do you think the interview was the scariest part, or playing with them for the first time, or?
Oh, the interviews, yeah, because I wasn't used to going into an office with my guitar.
Oh, yeah.
So,
having
you're not,
like a standard interview. It's like, so as
I
an
take
artist,
it your look isn't business professional, is what you're saying.
yeah, like so.
Yeah, they're in the music industry, so
Just really awkward to walk up.
Yeah.
And
I mean, did they ask you questions like, so as an artist,
Oh, they
where
ask
do you
you the
see yourself
corporate
and
questions?
see yourself?
Tell us
Well,
about a
years.
time you
No, well,
resolved
Time that
a
you had a conflict.
conflict with a fellow coworker.
no,
Have you ever had to punch your drummer in the face?
If you hadn't, you're not in the band.
no, my drummers were crazy and probably would have whooped my ass if I did that. So,
Yeah,
No.
they're always the most spastic ones, aren't they?
yeah. So,
Wiry bastards.
That's all right. During my short time playing a little music, I was a quiet bass player.
so, to start writing, so I get signed and get a bunch of money, and then it was great because I could.
Hell yeah.
Now I could, and it's amazing because now I'm able to do my first session, and I have money now and connections to have the best players in the whole world at my disposal. Just whatever,
Right.
book them, let's go. And I got all these songs, and now I'm writing with all these incredible.
Keys to the best studios.
Yeah, and the good studios I always liked studios that were smaller and a little bit more grungier. I didn't like the big fancy ones. I liked the grungier ones.
Right.
I just felt like I liked.
I can understand that. It drives a different sound.
Yeah, and it's just who I am, kind of as a person. I'm just kind of more just
Grungy.
Yeah, more grungier.
Need
But,
to take a shower.
Well, I shower like 2 times a day. The
Jeez.
cleanest, grungiest person you'll meet.
The cleanest, grungiest person you've ever met.
So,
I mean,
So-
would there be any famous studios in there that, like, if you said it's like,
oh, I don't
studios,
remember. Yeah, I
like
mean, like the old
Studio
Sony,
2,
the old Sony
the
rooms.
old Columbia studios.
I guess it was.
Like
Yeah,
Big Floaty,
I don't know.
Big Columbia then.
Dude,
Sony took over like
there-
in the 90s.
there was a point where I was in a studio
together.
there was a point where I was in a studio every single like freaking
Right.
day forever. So it was a new studio. So I just start getting the best players and boom, and then I'm making these demos and they're coming off great, and I'm writing with these incredible writers and it's just like boom, 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 boom. It's just awesome. It's a dream come true, right? And we're
Right.
playing every night, and then we're playing showcases. I'm playing guitar
Right.
for other bands, and I'm working. It's nonstop. It's been like 6 years to this point, nonstop, every freaking
Nonstop.
day. And I didn't have the most talent coming in, so every day I was trying to work my craft, right? And it used to drive me nuts because Nashville's the best of the best, man. It's the best of the best. You're never gonna find a bad singer there, or someone who can't play
Or a guitar
Yeah,
player.
true. Even just going into a random place, watching like, yeah, I got live music tonight, like most places do in Nashville. And then you hear them, and I've never heard one where I was like, they weren't that great. It's always like, no, they're pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I work in the hospitality industry, and sometimes the wedding band is not the best.
No, it's fucking a wedding band.
The other,
there's probably some bad wedding bands out there.
Yeah. So just had to bust and always be working, but it was great. It was awesome. So I guess it was almost like a probably 2-year stint I was with them, and so we went through the process to gear me up to get a deal. And I wasn't really like I never really moved to Nashville to be an artist. I never thought I was strong enough vocally, but I was just driven. I didn't care, and just whatever. So then when this opportunity came and they liked my voice on the demos, and then they signed me. So when we started playing, I went in and did my last session, and then I went home for Christmas, and I got a call from Ben Vaughn, and he was like, I love this, man. The session's great. He's like, you're ready. Let's do this. Let's push this to get a deal. And I was like, okay, let's do it. Right. And, I don't think I was ready. I knew I wasn't ready. But unfortunately you have a time, the timer's on, right?
Right.
Yeah.
They can't keep you in a development deal at this time. It's the last of the best years in Nashville. There's still a bit of development money. It's still there. But
it's time to produce.
It's time to go now. It's either make or break now. So I ended up going and I had tons of songs, right? And I knew I could do this on my own and produce, but I was pretty wild at this point. I was getting a little loose. Like I wanted to do more rock stuff. So my demos were coming out a little bit more this and that. But nonetheless, I produced this session, and when you produce songs for radio, it's completely different than if I were to go in and do my own sessions. Like it has to be. There's so many politics geared to radio. Like it has to be this amount of clean.
Oh,
the music has to be clean.
Way more like regulated.
So you have to you really have to play the game in that world, and that was the hard thing to fight with. As being an artist.
It's stifling because then it's like how do you be creative and then censor yourself too?
Well, if you're used to rolling it on an 8 and then you got to knock it back to a 4, that's huge.
Yeah,
because then your vocal style changes, your tone of your voice, everything is different.
Yeah,
right?
and they're like, "Oh, why doesn't it sound like the other stuff?" I was like, "Because you're asking me to fucking do something totally different."
Yeah, exactly. And so I ended up working with I ended up going and meeting some really incredible producers and stuff, and then I went and played for a guy named Radney Foster. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
Randy Foster.
No, it's Radney Foster.
Radney. Is it Radney or Randy?
No, it's Radney.
Radney.
Yeah.
So
fucking Radney.
No, I don't.
No.
Yeah.
Can't play it. Sorry.
But he was like this cool Texas guy that had a lot of success in the '90s, and he had just a great vibe. Okay. And I really wanted to work with him, and so I went over and I sat up on. I remember I walked in. It was like in the old Sony studios or something. I walked in and sat up on the amp case and then played for him acoustic, and he wanted to do an album, cut sides on me, but he was agreed to do a record on a different band, and it would have been like 3 months before he
could have got to you.
And so he couldn't wait. So it didn't happen. And that I just like, oh man, that would have been just amazing.
That would have been awesome.
So I ended up working with this guy's name, the Warren Brothers, and they had record deals in the '90s, and they had songs out. They had some great songs, and I remember listening to them as a kid in Canada, hearing them on the radio and stuff. And they were just young, and they were up and coming in the producing world, but they were awesome songwriters. They were incredible songwriters. So we started writing songs, and then we got some really good ones. And then so we agreed that we were going to go cut sides, and then so we went in, cut sides, and I've never released them, but I will be hopefully.
Hey, Chade, just want to let you know real quick. We're coming up on probably an hour.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that Anchor cuts me off at an hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
we're in the last 5 minutes of it. We got about 4 minutes to go. So maybe we can just kind of like start wrapping it up and
yeah, sure. Yeah.
kind of give it an ending, I guess you could say. It was very fascinating and interesting, and
Hell yeah, dude.
appreciate you.
Wish I was over earlier. I cut the whole thing.
Yeah,
I'll have to
now
go
there's
back
an hour and a
listen to
half
the,
because like
beginning.
me and you, we did 30 minutes. And
Yeah.
now
So let me finish this up. So
Yeah, go for it.
So doing these showcases, we do all this stuff. We work together. Blah blah blah.
Right.
Go play in front of all the labels and all that. And there was a moment where I thought it was going to happen with a certain label, and they want certain people wanted it to happen, and then it just didn't happen for whatever reason. And I just was losing touch with. There was something different in me as an artist. I just was like, man, I don't know if I can do this anymore. You got to remember, this is like 8 years every day. I was depleted physically, mentally. I was burnt out by this time.
8 years.
Well, just being in town, busting my ass.
Being in town, working the craft, and just driving.
Yeah,
I felt
so you feel a little drained.
I guess that's kind of catching up to about almost to the time when maybe that.
Yeah, well, you know what, we can do that on a different time.
Right, of course.
Right, we'll do that like part 2 or something like that.
When it's like, look, here's a drunk guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But
so I play I play all these shows. I've got like Bon Jovi's manager out watching me and all this stuff. And, like,
cool.
I'm meeting with all these people, these agents calling me before I'm even signed, and they're wanting to know what I'm going to do with my money and shit like this. It's just so surreal, right?
Yeah.
And so the last call, it was kind of like Ben called me and said, hey, like EMI just sold. They sold to Sony. It was 2007, so the recession hit, and American Idol was being born. So everything overnight was flipped off. Okay, so it was basically like if you got to do this, and this, and I just didn't feel like I could do this anymore. I needed to step away. It was a mutual split, I guess, and I'm just really grateful that they gave me that shot. And I'm going to be releasing a bunch of the demos from Nashville, but we'll do like a part 2, Chris. We'll do a part 2 on this. And,
for sure.
Yeah, you should, because I want to hear more about that. That sounds.
Yeah, we're rolling into the last 2 minutes here.
Yeah. So
that sounds fucking crazy, man.
But like I said,
you can't predict the timing of that.
Our agreement is that you get final cut. So none of this gets published until you mull it over.
Yeah, so send me this. I think this will be good.
It sounds like a good one. I think we got some good stuff here.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
Awesome.
But I'll send it to you in a file so you can check it out, and you can let me know if you agree or disagree. Sometimes I have to wait a couple days before I listen to it again, just because
worries.
It's odd. Like it's odd.
Well, we're still at like the pre-editing point, so we're trying to just nail stuff out without having it be scripted and having it be not sounding like shit either, so
we're still working on our little program here. But anyway, great talking with you, man. Let's get back into part 2, part 3, whatever we're going to call it. I'll send you the file. You go through it. You tell me what you think, and
for sure,
we'll catch up again.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, and we'll see you on part 2.
All right, awesome.
Okay, take care.
All right, man.
Bye.
Peace.
later.
Later.